Thank God for every one of you. Thank God for what He's doing. I thank God for giving us the opportunity to hone in and focus on the miracles of God in this month. And we want to live as those who are not only recipients of miracles, but become conduits of miracles. Those of us who become instigators that make miracles happen in people's lives. And for this time we got a few pit stops we got to make. There was a time where God instructed Moses to speak to the rock so water would gush out for the people to drink, because they were murmuring, and you can find that account in Numbers 20 from 8 to 12. And the instruction was, take the rod, you and your brother, and gather the congregation together. So he didn't say don't take the rod, he said take the rod. But the instruction was, speak to the rock before their eyes, and it would yield its water, and it would cause the people to be able to drink and feed their animals. And of course, Moses at this point was ticked off, got into his feelings. Moses, of all people who would tell God to hold his peace and not squash the people, he started insulting them, and then in the anger, he hit the rock. And water came out all right. He didn't even hit it once, he hit it twice. And God said, wait a minute, Moses, we are off script here. Now, I need you to understand that God was taking that moment very serious. He was in the miracle mood, but he was not in the mood for any haphazard behavior. He was looking at a very important thing that I want to draw your attention to. In the midst of the miracles, what miracles do is that they bring honor back to God. Remember, we talked about signs, wonders, and miracles, all right? And they all describing the miracles, but the signs must point to God. The importance of that is that the enemy is also able to come up with wonders. Not every miraculous activity is a divine activity, all right? So you have to understand that the miracle, the intent of God's miracles are supposed to be signs that point the recipients back to God. So what God was contending with at that moment was dishonor. You know, you can't get into your feelings, and it's not about you, Moses. You didn't give birth to these people. You are becoming an instrument to bring about their transformation and settle them into the promise I've promised their fathers, including you, before you were even born. So this is not a time to get all raucous. And God was also saying, I'm shifting from the use of the rod to the use of your mouth. Some of the miracles that you would encounter, you must be open for the new way God wants to perform these miracles. And I have this inkling to believe that somebody needs to come into the understanding where you use your mouth to generate the miracles. Now think about it. He was supposed to get into this system of fracking. If you know fracking, we frack the rocks to get oil out. All right? But that is a whole a drilling system. But this time, Moses was supposed to just stand before the eyes of the people, speak to the rock, and the rock would release its water. Can I inform you that the rock that looks dry has water in it? That is the God we're talking about. You know, he called light out of darkness. That means light was there all the time, even though it seemed to have been covered by darkness, and he calls it out. So don't tell me your impossible situation does not have a solution embedded in it. Sometimes the confusion around me is only setting me up for the miracle of God. God is about to open to you an insight that is buried in the problem. The magnitude of your challenge does not obscure the richness of the inheritance locked in it. Where do we find gold? Where do you find the diamonds? Where do you catch the net-breaking fish? So God is not short of his ability to come through for you. You know, you may be lacking in resource, but God, who is the source, is never dry. So can someone begin to practice speaking as God instructs you? I'm looking forward to the coming month. I believe one of the things God would get us into is the ability to understand how to use words. You know, words are containers. Words are carriers. Words are the creative implements that God uses. And in the miraculous environment, God would want to invite us to participate in speaking. Can someone begin to speak over that thing that has been bothering you for a long time and tell it to change? Can someone call healing out of a sick situation? Can someone speak to their bank account and say, bank account, you are not going to look that way in the days to come? You know, it may sound foolish, but listen, I am in the mood to walk with God. Please, can I beg you? Can you stop thinking that you are so sophisticated that you don't need God? It's amazing that, you know, when we get a little bit of education, we think that the miraculous God cannot operate.